Bitcoin wastes as much electricity as a small country. That's the headline. You've seen it. It's everywhere. Here's what those headlines left out. Bitcoin myths number 1. The energy argument. 3 systems, 1 comparison. Let's look at the actual numbers. The global banking system, ATMs, data centers, branches, every armored truck, uses around 263 terawatt hours per year. Gold mining, about 240 terawatt hours. And Bitcoin, 138 terawatt hours. Bitcoin uses half the energy of the global banking system. Half! 138 versus 263 terawatt hours. And yet, only one of them gets called an environmental disaster. But here's the more interesting question. Where does that energy actually come from?
Here's one way to see how that happened. In June 2021, China banned Bitcoin mining overnight. At the time, China controlled nearly 65% of all global mining. Every one of those operations had to move or shut down. The first wave went to Kazakhstan, cheap coal power, short distance. But the larger migration chased something different. Texas, with its curtailed wind capacity, energy the grid couldn't absorb. Canada, with its stranded hydro, power that had nowhere else to go. Iceland and Norway, both running on nearly 100% renewable electricity. Here's the pattern. Miners don't choose energy sources. They choose price. And the cheapest electricity on Earth is increasingly the electricity that no one else wants.
As of the Cambridge Digital Mining Industry Report, 52.4% of Bitcoin mining now runs on sustainable energy. Renewables, nuclear, power nobody else wanted. That share has been growing steadily, not by accident. Miners follow the cheapest electricity on Earth. And cheap electricity increasingly means stranded hydro, the kind that would otherwise go unused, curtailed wind, energy a grid can't absorb, and flared gas. At oil and gas wells around the world, methane gets burned off into the atmosphere with no useful purpose. Some Bitcoin miners now capture that gas and use it on site. The result? Fewer net emissions than if the mining never happened. That raises the real question. Why does Bitcoin use energy at all? Because the energy is the security. There's no central authority checking transactions, no government backing the ledger. The cost of the computational work is what makes the record impossible to fake. You'd have to outspend the entire network to rewrite it. This is called proof of work. Expensive to attack, cheap to verify. That's not a bug. That's the design.
Every 10 minutes, the Bitcoin network confirms a new block. Each block carries a cryptographic fingerprint of every block before it, linking the chain all the way back to 2009. Miners worldwide are making hundreds of trillions of guesses per second, racing to find the one number that produces a valid hash. When a miner finds it, the block is confirmed. The chain grows. Energy spent is history that cannot be rewritten. The network has already moved on. The chain never stops. According to bitnodes.io, 27,463 individual nodes are running the Bitcoin network right now. Not one company. Not one server. 27,000 separate computers operating in more than 100 countries, each holding a complete copy of every transaction since 2009. No headquarters, no off switch. No single government, company, or actor can take it down.
And here's what it costs to try to cheat that system. To rewrite Bitcoin's history for just 1 hour, you'd need more than $10 billion in hardware before you even plug it in. And while you're trying, the network keeps growing. It outpaces you before you finish. There's one more angle most people miss. Bitcoin miners aren't just consumers of energy. They're stabilizers. When wind and solar produce more power than the grid can absorb, most of that surplus gets wasted. Bitcoin miners step in as the flexible buyer of last resort, absorbing that surplus profitably. When the grid needs power back, miners can shut off in seconds. Grid operators are increasingly treating Bitcoin mining as a feature, not a problem. Bitcoin's energy mix still includes coal. Kazakhstan's early mining wave made sure of that. But this standard never gets applied to banking or gold. Banking burns twice what Bitcoin does. Gold burns nearly as much. Neither one gets called an environmental disaster. Bitcoin does. Which one gets the headlines?